Oh man.
So maybe what I need you to do is tell me if you're seeing. Yeah, no, just tell me if you're seeing the. Are you seeing what we're doing right now? Or are you seeing what we did 20 minutes ago? Coming up here very shortly. She must be seeing something. Oh, so we're just now live. We're just now live, Lee.
At 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock. Well, that was the original start time, so there you go. And in case you people are just now joining in, we had the expert, our technical advisor, Joe Molder, told us we were not live, and we've just done 30 minutes of show that didn't show up on the air, Lee. How about that? So we are live now. Is that what you're telling us, technical expert? Well, thank you very much.
We're live delayed, or you're seeing what we're saying right now? Okay.
So
We're live
we're
live.
live. uh, for those of you who are just joining us, that would be everybody.
Yeah. Oh
Lee,
my gosh.
Lee and I just did a half hour of the best dead gum YouTube you've ever seen. Unfortunately, none of you guys saw it.
Oh Lord.
YouTube Studio is
Oh.
absolutely killing me. So we're good, right? So YouTube Studio is absolutely killing me right now, Lee. I don't. I think I don't know. According to her, we're live right now. So I guess that we start back at the top.
Let's roll with
We'll
it. We can
start
run a
back.
quick rundown. Let's roll with it.
Run quick rundown. We started things out a half hour ago when you guys missed it, and I had some very good thought-provoking comments on this game. But Coffee County and Tullahoma, the coffee pot game, Lee. Man, I just got a sense that we're doing this. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It is what it is, right? The big game over in Coffee County, the coffee pot game tonight. Lee got moved from last night. Most of the games we're talking about at the start, all the games are starting at the top of the show are tonight's games. Coffee County, Tullahoma, big win for Tullahoma last week over Shelbyville. They had 38 to 13, huge win. Ryan Scott debuted at quarterback for Tullahoma. Had a good game for the Wildcats, didn't you, Lee?
He did. Went 5 and 9 for 182 yards, 3 TD passes. Of course, we like Jacoby Thomas, the senior running back over there at Tullahoma. Had a pretty good ball game too. I think he had 2 touchdowns rushing and 1 receiving. I like Tullahoma at home tonight, Mike. Pretty handily, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too, Lee. I agree with you. One thing I mentioned earlier, their quick kicker Justice Chadwick had a great game for Tullahoma.
Weapon.
Weapon, yeah, and that's the only reason why I brought it up. The kid had 7 touchbacks on 7 kickoffs, 5 for 5 on PATs, 1 for 1 on field goals, and he averaged 43 yards a punt and on 2 punts. So
Buddy, that's a weapon.
that's a weapon right there.
Yes,
So
sir.
you kind of got to throw him in the mix, I think, early,
Early.
for Mr. Football,
At the kicker spot.
candidate at the kicker spot.
Yep.
Big win for Tullahoma. Coffee County again had a big, huge win over rival Franklin County, 21 to 19. Again, you and I missed, Lee. We both had Franklin County winning that game, so the Rebels knocked off by the Raiders. Doug Green in his second year here at Coffee County with a big win. Matthew Pittman at quarterback, Marshall Haney at running back. What's your thoughts on this game, buddy?
I like I said, I like Shelbyville. You know,
Tullahoma.
I'm sorry, Tullahoma. 10 points, 14 points, probably. Uh, but this is a huge ball game. The coffee pot. You know,
Yeah,
they
that's a big rival,
they
man.
go
It's
toe to
one of the
toe.
biggest.
They go toe to toe on this. But I like Tullahoma at home.
I do too. I like Tullahoma. I think Tullahoma with that returning offensive line intact from
Yeah.
last year, along with, like you said, Ryan Scott at quarterback, Jacoby Thomas. They got a lot of weapons there,
Hmm.
and the defense looked really good, holding Shelbyville to 13 points. So I like the Wildcats and Scott Chastain and Ken Keller on the call tonight. That'll be on 93.9 The Duck if you want to listen to that game. Walker Valley and Bradley Central Lee Teat. That's a big game out in East Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Bradley Central Took one on the chin, 25-21 to Farragut last week. Walker Valley with a shutout win over Cannon County. What do you think about this game?
I like Bradley Central at home at 21-25 Farragut score. Obviously Farragut won by 4 points, but I think that's pretty indicative more so of just how good Farragut is because Bradley Central's tough.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from Walker Valley, but they played Cannon County 39.
You getting a deja vu on this?
39-0. So, yeah, a little bit. I'm gonna go Bradley Central at home, buddy, and
I thought you picked Walker Valley the first time we did this show.
No. Bradley Central, convincing fashion, along with 81% of the Twitter sports.
Sometimes it stinks being technically illiterate, just so you know. So, as we mentioned,
bothering you. It's not bothering me.
It bothered me.
It's bothering you.
It bothered me because
I've been technically illiterate all my life.
Anytime I got to throw away 30 minutes of my life, that kills me. And that's essentially what we've done.
I just show up, sit down, and talk. Man. If I had to hook all this up, we'd never got it done.
92% of our fan base liked Tullahoma to win that game, and 81% of the Tennessee Sports on Twitter fans like Bradley Central to win their game. So we're on pace with our fan base so far, Lee. Upperman, the Bees, 64% of our fan base like Adam Kane to repeat. They won this game 35-0 last year. And DeKalb County took one on the chin against 6A Warren County last week, 30-24, while Upperman was shut out by Cookville 28-0. What's your thoughts on this one?
I'm gonna go Upperman on the road in a close ball game.
Upperman on the road
in a close one.
Well, I talked to one of the members of the DeKalb County Tiger staff this week, Lee, and he told me I thought maybe because I really thought they'd win that Warren County game.
Warren County's got a real good. I think he's a tailback. Supposed to be really good.
Yeah. Well, I talked to him, and I was kind of curious whether maybe they had some kids that missed because of COVID and whatnot. But he said no, that wasn't the case. He said he had some defensive linemen that kind of got lazy and missed a lot of tackles. So I'm guessing, I'm assuming that Steve Trapp addressed that issue. If that was the major concern, he addressed that in practice this week. So I'm thinking maybe DeKalb County, because we were so high on them, Lee, in preseason, that I'm gonna go with the Tigers to win this one at home.
Well, it's gonna be dry.
It's gonna be dry.
That'll help him.
That'll help him, no doubt. Lee, Giles County travels to Hendersonville. The Bobcats of Giles County beaten by Lincoln County. Another game we missed. I missed a lot of games last week, but Lincoln County won that game 20-13, and then of course Hendersonville was beaten pretty soundly by what we consider probably the favorite to win the state this year, Oakland 42-10.
Correct. Sorry, man.
That's all right, brother. Need a drink?
No, I'm good. A little frog in my throat.
A little frog in your throat. I think, Giles County, we're real high on them in 3A, Lee, no doubt.
Yes.
But I think Hendersonville with the bigger roster and being at home, I like them to win this one.
Yeah, me too. I like the Commandos at home. I think that's a pretty good long haul for Giles County. But I think, Mike, if you look at this, I think Coach O'Connor may be doing this, had this scheduled out like this for a reason. I think this is going to toughen him up. If he can stay healthy through these first couple games of Lincoln County and Hendersonville, if he stays pretty healthy, he's going to have seen some real stiff competition early.
Well, Lee, another thing that we hadn't even thought about with this one, they're in that region with all those metro teams, East Nashville, Pearl Cone, Stratford, all the teams that as of now doesn't even look like they're going to play this year. So they may enter the postseason with only 4 or 5 games. So
that is very possible.
That's something that I hadn't really thought about until now. But and that Region 5, man, was expected to be one, if not the best, one of the best regions in the state. And the fact that all these kids aren't getting to play, and that's a whole nother show. But I'm just I'm very upset that Cooper's made this stance, and I'm sure you saw the press conference like I did today, Lee, and the way this has been handled is just crazy. It's just that's the kindest way I can put it is crazy.
Well, I think Coach O'Connor, like we was talking about, though, I think he scheduled the way he scheduled early to try to get him through that gauntlet of Region 5-3.
Yeah.
But I don't think he wins tonight. I think Hendersonville gets it done.
Yeah, I agree. Marshall County, Lincoln County, Lee Teat. Of course, Tom Osteen was supposed to be on with us tonight, but of course that's not going to happen with the game getting moved to tonight. 70% of our fan base like the Tigers of Marshall County to win this one. Lincoln County with a big upset over Giles County last week. We didn't see that one. But we don't know. We don't know what Marshall County's got. We do know they got some really good talent back, right, Lee?
Oh, yeah, they got a ton of talent back. And we know that Lincoln County's quarterback last week played lights out.
Right.
He had 277 yards rushing, scored all 3 touchdowns over Giles County.
So he'll definitely be the focus of.
I think Coach Osteen, we kind of mentioned this earlier, I think Coach Osteen may have a bit of an advantage here because he has seen Lincoln County and Marshall County's yet to play us down this year.
Right.
I'm sure Lincoln County's staff has went back and looked at some stuff from last year, but they haven't seen them this year.
And we mentioned we figured probably Marshall County had at least a staff or two over there at the game last week watching that Giles County and Lincoln County matchup. So they should have had a little bit more. If anything, a little more knowledge of what Lincoln County is going to do than vice versa.
Right. I'll tell you what, Mike, I like Marshall County on the road, and I think this is going to be a tight ball game. But I like Bryson Hammonds in the fourth quarter.
I like Bryson Hammonds in the fourth quarter as well. Yep. I think him and Akey Howard are going to have big games tonight.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. Marshall County, 2 of us, and 70% of the Friday Main Event fan base on Twitter at Tennessee Sports. Livingston Academy headed to Cookeville. Lee, your buddy Jimmy Maynard with a big shutout last week, 28-0. He had 2 kids, matter of fact. Stockton Owens had 152 yards and 2 TDs. Logan Slides had 159 yards and a TD. I think Cookeville's got things going in the right direction this year.
I do too. I think Cookeville wins this game tonight. I think maybe this game is at Tech. I know Cookeville's supposed to have this game at home, but I think their field is not ready. They're getting turf.
That's right.
So I'm not sure if it was ready this week or not. I'm just speculating on that.
Yeah.
But I like Cookeville. I think Coach Maynard's offensive line and his backfield is probably one of the best combos he's had with that combination of lineman and backfield in a while. And I think, in all honesty, I think Coach Maynard was a Livingston Academy grad.
You like them Delk boys, don't you?
I do. I think Coach Maynard gets his alma mater tonight pretty handily, really.
So Bruce Lamb's team wins over Westmoreland 12-10 last week. I thought with 4A playing a 2A that would be a bigger margin of victory.
Me too.
I think Bruce Lamb may be. They had an awesome team.
Oh yeah.
Last year, 11-1. 4-0 in region play, but I think he's doing a little bit of rebuilding this year. So I think that game could potentially get ugly, Lee, just to be honest with you. Trousdale County at White House. This should be a great game right here. 62% of our fan base like Trousdale. They lost to Friendship 10-7 last week. And then, of course, White Station beat Station Camp 28-12. White House, this was a replacement game for both teams. Well, Trousdale had a bye already this year. They only had 9 games, but it worked out that they picked up White House to replace that Glencliff game. So, what's your thoughts?
That White House, buddy.
Yeah.
It's a tough place to play. It's a real tough place to play. And did you see what White House quarterback did last week?
What's that?
250 yards rushing.
Wow.
2 touchdowns. Threw for another one.
That's not bad. Not a bad night of productivity.
Against Station Camp, which is a little bit bigger school than White House.
That's Rain and Blackburn you're talking about, right?
That's correct. Man, we talked to Coach Satterfield in the off season. What did he say?
He said they may go 0-3 and they still may be in a state title game.
You think he was telling us something? Or
Well,
I mean,
he
he's
knew
never.
he
He's
knew
always been honest with us.
he knew the difficulty of his schedule. I mean, he opened up with Friendship. He had White House, and I believe they have Watertown next
That's
week.
correct.
So I mean, what he said, maybe, it may come to light that happens. Watertown's a good team.
Mm.
So you predicting White House?
No, I'm going Trousdale County on the road.
I'm
Close.
I'm going to take the Yellow Jackets also, but I agree with you, Lee. I think this will be a good game, but I like the Yellow Jackets to rebound after that. I just don't see them going 0-3, and next week is going to be a really tough game for them.
Yeah.
Joe Burns, and hopefully you don't catch them looking ahead. That's something else too.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that happens a lot when teams have a
big region opponent.
big region opponent, they'll
Ooh,
look past the non-region.
Man, we didn't think about that. Might be a little catch game.
Yep, could be.
Trap.
Could be. Trap game. You still going Trousdale?
Yes, close though. I'm telling you, it's gonna be close.
It's gonna be real close, I think. Joe Burns and Huntland Lee Teat. My buddy Bob Robertson. I got a chance to watch them last week because they beat Eagleville 36-27. Joe Burns, Tom Atkins' crew. They actually had a good opening game. 21.
They did.
They coming off a 2-9 season, probably the worst season Tom Atkins has had as a head coach. But I was really happy, and I mentioned that in our previous shows, to see them get off to a good start, Lee. But they got to travel all the way to Huntland. That's a long from Cedar here all the way down to Huntland, man. That's
a haul.
That's a good 2.5-hour drive right there.
That's a haul.
So that may weigh into this one here. 60% of our fan base think I don't think that's right. I think I put the percentages wrong, Lee. I'm pretty sure Huntland was leading. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I've got it that 60% of our fan base voted for Joe Burns, and that may be true because Joe Burns has got a lot of people that follow Friday Man Event. So, what's your thoughts on this one?
I'm going Huntland at home. Kobe Stewart had a huge game last week against Eagleville. We know Floyd Walker can coach defense.
Yeah.
And they put up 36 on them.
Yeah, you talk about Stewart, 164 yards rushing, 3 TDs, Lee. Their sophomore looked really good,
yes,
number 8.
Bryson
Johnson. Now I've got some video I'll post to that here in a little bit. 125 yards for the sophomore, so he's got that 1-2 combo he had last year, with Cameron Reed leaving.
And they're big up front.
They're big up front. The line looked really good. So I agree with you. I like Huntland to win this one right here, Lee.
I'm going Huntland Hornets.
Collinwood and Richland. Nick Patterson and Scotty Hanna, 2 great coaches. I thought Collinwood was in line to have a good season this year. I think they're going to contend for Region 6 with Huntland losing so much, with Huntington losing so much. So they may contend for that region. But Richland's Nick Patterson also, I think, is going to have a good team. 58% of our fan base like Richland.
I'm going Collinwood on the road.
Collinwood on the road. So you're not a believer in the Richland squad that went 6-5 last year and got 15 starters back. So you're going with Collinwood.
Yes, sir. I'm going Collinwood on the road.
You like Peyton Ward. You like Dayton Scott, the quarterback with 1,200 yards rushing last year.
Mm-hmm. Got some senior
upperclassmen. This was a tough one for me, Lee. Collinwood did win this game last season, 26-18.
8 points.
I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna. Dadgummit. Darn you, Lee Teat. I wanted to go Richland on this because they're home. I think being at home, and they had to play Rogers, Alabama last week, and they lost that game. They won that game last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, what the heck? I'm going to split this one with you. I'm going to split it. I'm going to go Richland. I'm probably going to wish I hadn't done that. I'm going to go Richland. Coach Patterson, you got my back, baby. Going with Richland. Peabody at McNary Central Lee Teat. We'll have Shane Jacobs on with us here shortly. The Golden Tide, 81% of the Friday Night event like the Golden Tide. McNary Central, the Bobcats, took one on the chin. They lost a lot off of last year's team, Lee. They kind of struggled. They got shut out 40-0 to Hardin County.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Peabody rolls.
Peabody Rose. We'll talk about Malik Ganaway to Coach Lee. He had a big night, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That kid had a 336 all-purpose yards
That's pretty crazy, ain't it?
against Milan.
Against Milan. Yeah, 184 rushing yards, 152 receiving yards. That's
336, I believe.
that's a name the Milan folks are gonna be remembering for a while, I'd say.
Draquan Vaughn. We just like Peabody, man. They're loaded and they just reload. You know.
Yeah.
I like Peabody.
I like Peabody also. Franklin travels to Riverdale. Lee. 59% of our fan base like the Warriors of Riverdale. Donnie Webb's Rebels got off to a good start, 42-16 over Siegel under a new coach. Fisher Anderson, big tackle there. He's the number 6 rated junior in the state. You got Jason Amsler, who is the number 43 recruit in the state in this latest senior class.
Right. This is an interesting matchup to me, Mike, because I think Franklin up front is huge, and they looked like last week they stayed behind that line.
Yeah.
Just and pounded that rock. I think Sparks had 100 yards. That right?
Yep, that's right.
And then Durham had a couple TDs there with 70+ yards on the ground. Man, it's at Riverdale.
It's at Riverdale.
They took one on the chin last week against a real good CPA squad.
Real good CPA team. And they've got Javon. We're talking about players. They got Javon Nelson, who's the number 10 recruit, according to 247 Sports.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've got players as well.
They do. They got a ton of them.
Yep.
I didn't find out, Mike. Did you hear anything about how Coach Holcomb, Jameson, played?
I didn't hear. I did not hear how Jameson played last week. But, I mean, they were up against a really good CPA defense. So
yeah.
I wouldn't want to read too much into his numbers for last week based on, who the opponent was.
I'm going to go Riverdale at home, Mike.
I think I am
close,
too, Lee.
Close.
I think it's close. I agree with you. Riverdale won this game 34-10 last year, but if you'll remember, there was a quarterback.
Yep.
Nichols came in about mid-season for Franklin and kind of turned their season around. So, had Nichols played last year in this game, I don't know if the outcome would have been the same. I think it definitely would have been closer.
We got to change that. That ain't the Rebels anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the Admirals.
Yep, you're correct. I hadn't changed that.
They got a Navy over in Franklin.
Yeah, that's right. It makes sense, don't it?
Yeah. Anyways.
Centennial at Smyrna, Lee Teat. Centennial took one on the chin, 48-0 to Ravenwood. Really good Ravenwood team. And then Smyrna did the same, losing Pope John Paul II 42-7 last week. Smyrna sophomore Landon Miller passed for 109 yards, won 15-22. No Bulldog rush for more than 30 yards last week. So John Paul really shut him down defensively. So
yeah, I'm gonna go Smyrna at home.
You like Smyrna at home?
I do.
Centennial won this game 37-24 last year.
Yeah. I like
at home.
But you got to remember, last year Centennial, that sophomore Landon Miller we're talking about was a freshman. Started for Smyrna.
That's true.
So he's got a year under his belt. I like them at home. I like the Bulldogs at home.
That's tough one right there.
It is.
Tough game to pick.
Yes, it is.
59% of our fan base like the Cougars at Tennessee Sports on Twitter. Well, Lee, I'm tempted to split this one with you.
All right.
I'm tempted to follow my fan base. They're usually a lot smarter than I am. ain't saying a whole lot. But something tells me Matt Williams' squad's gonna get it done. And that's a game. Yeah, that's a tonight. Man, we're at 14, Lee, and we're still on games tonight. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Smyrna. I'm gonna go with you. Blackman and Ravenwood. I think that game's televised tonight, isn't it, Lee? I believe.
That might, yeah, maybe.
I think it is. I need to check that when we go to break. Blackman had to travel all the way up to Alcoa last week, Lee, and lost 35-7. And Alcoa is really tough this year. They got almost everybody back off that state championship game last year. Blackman's only got 5 back on offense, 3 on defense. They do have Drew Beam, who is a Tennessee signee in baseball, I believe.
That's right.
And then Ravenwood, of course, they got a lot of talent.
Oh yeah, Brenning Stool, Colson, Damon Owens. You know,
eat
up with talent. Put a big beat down on Centennial last week.
Right.
They're at home.
Game was close last year.
It was. I just wonder if Blackman's got a little hangover coming out of that Alcoa travel.
That's 2 tough road trips in a row.
One less day of prep too.
Yeah.
To move the games up. So I'm gonna go Ravenwood at home, Mike.
I'm gonna go Ravenwood also, Lee. You talked me into it. Powell at Anderson County. Matt Lowe's squad looked really good in an impressive win, 26-24 last week, over a really good Beach team. A Beach team we had very high in our top 10. Carson Whitehead, the DB at Powell, made 12 tackles, intercepted 2 passes, recovered 2 fumbles. So he had a big game for the Panthers last week.
Yep.
Anderson County 41-6 over Clinton, and Hatmaker is he's off to a good start for those guys. Had a big game last week. Who wins this one? Should be a good one, shouldn't it?
It should. I'm gonna go with Powell, Mike, just for a simple fact they ran up against a real quality squad last week in Beach, and it looked like Beach had some turnovers, but to me, that DB intercepted a couple of passes, recovered a couple of fumbles, so he's a playmaker.
Yeah.
He's around the football. That ought to tell you a lot. He's around the ball.
Yeah.
Jordan Potts is a good quarterback, but I think this game is real close, Mike. Because Hatmaker's the real deal, and so is Stone Cummins, preseason All-Stater. And then Anderson County's also got a All-State kicker. So I'm going to go Powell on the road. Probably a similar score to what they had last week.
You think so?
Yeah, I think 2 points.
Sorry, Lee. I'm going to take just a second to look this up because I'm thinking that Powell had a different quarterback last week, and that darn Matt Lowe didn't tell us about that. For some reason, I'm thinking maybe I was. Well, never mind. I thought I saw that somebody else started at quarterback. I kind of caught my eye, but apparently I was thinking of a different team. Anyway, that's the team I was going with as well. Lee Powell. I think it's going to be. I think actually Anderson County led that game in the fourth quarter last year, if I remember right.
They did.
Powell came back and scored a couple of late TDs.
And it's at Anderson County.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 26-24 type game again.
Yeah.
I think
it'll probably have more points than that. I think it's going to be a shootout. You got 2 good offenses. I think both teams score in the 30s.
Okay.
Which means it'll probably be a 7-6 game. Covington and Haywood, Lee. I know this is one you've been wanting to talk about.
This game right here is exactly what the fan says it is. 50%.
50%.
It's a straight split.
Closest vote we had on the Friday main event, and really, really tough game to pick right here, Lee. Marcus Hayes in his senior year here for Covington, and then you've got on the opposite side Alex Evans, running back for Haywood. They lost a tough game to Henry County, 27-18, a game which Henry County pretty much ran the ball at will. Ryan Dameron only attempted 10 passes last week, so you gotta worry about that because Covington is primarily a run-oriented offense as well. So that may play into J.R. Kirby's hands a little bit. What do you think?
I think it does. I really do. I think it does. I think Coach Kirby's going to shorten the game because you want to keep the ball away from all the athletes on Haywood's offense.
Yeah. I
think he's going to shorten the game and run the fire out of it. And I think Covington gets out of there with a win, which it's surprising to me, but I'm going to go Covington.
Yeah. This probably was the hardest game on the board for me to pick.
Obviously.
Very, very two two really good teams. Covington 3A, one of the favorites, and then of course Haywood, one of the favorites there in 4A
That's right.
to reach Cookeville.
And I don't see if either of these teams losing, them dropping in that our predictions on that. I think they're that good.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was tickled to death that Jr. picked this game up. You know, he contacted me earlier and said, "Hey, we got this week open," and wound up picking up Haywood, which is awesome. You know, I think Haywood originally had Jackson Northside, and then Covington was supposed to be playing a team out of Arkansas. So it was just fate that both of these two teams landed here on this game tonight, and
be good to watch.
Yeah, cool one to watch, man. I'd love to if I watched that game. I want to go with our buddy Kirby, but something for some reason is telling me Haywood at home. I think this team is just too good to go 0-2. I'm gonna go Tomcats, but I think it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a real good game.
I think so too. I'd like to see it.
I'm sorry about that, Coach Kirby. I still love you, buddy. So don't hold it against me. Lee, let's take a quick break, my friend. We got to get Coach Joe Gaddis on with us. You are listed Friday Main Event. Lee, I'm going to put up a little bit of footage from that Huntington-Eagleville game I got to watch last week, and you guys check that out while we get Coach Joe Gaddis on the phone.
Roll!
Peyton Reed on the quarterback keeper. Taken down at the 40. Gain of 11 is good for the Hornets. Johnson on the carry for the Hornets. Reed's pass complete to Norwood. Stop made by Pratt. Corbin Stewart takes it in from 15 yards out for the Hornets.
All right, Lee, that was a little bit of Huntland and Eagleville. Good game that I watched last week. A couple of single A schools, I think, or single A and 2A, I guess I should say. But promising programs, I think, have good years. Let's step it up and let's talk about bigger schools. And one of the bigger schools over in East Tennessee got one of our favorite coaches, and we're talking about Joe Gaddis at Oak Ridge. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How about y'all?
We're doing great, Coach. It's been a crazy 2020 season, but, fortunately, we did make a return to football last week, something many of us, as recently as a month ago, we wasn't really sure if that was going to happen or not. How special was it for you personally, to get off to a great start? You guys had that shutout over Hardin Valley. What did it mean to you to get back on the field and have your team play so well?
Oh, it meant a lot to our guys. We've been practicing since the first week of June, I guess 9 weeks of practice, and for probably 8 of those weeks, we really didn't know if we were going to play a game for sure or not. But last week, we realized that was probably going to happen, and we'll get off to a good start. And guys have been really excited to have a chance to play.
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, we were impressed with your 3-year starter there in Mitchell Gibbons. We watched some video on him this week. It looks like he commands your team in the huddle well. Talk a little bit about Mitchell Gibbons and, his chance to have a lot of success this year.
Well, first of all, if you go back a year, I think he was maybe 1 touchdown pass away from tying the all-time single season record at Oak Ridge. So
right.
He threw a lot of touchdown passes last year, and all the difference in the world between the beginning of last season and this season. Last year he had started a game or 2 maybe as a sophomore, but now he started 14 games, and you can tell by the way he played last week.
Right.
He was on target much of the night. We started the game out on defense and stopped them, and then we ended up inside our 10, and first and second down we didn't do much, and then he threw a 91-yard slant route for a touchdown and had 2 or 3 more touchdown passes during the course of the night. But just really played well. I thought ran the offense very well.
Well, talking about that 91-yard reception, Coach, I think Preston Turner was on the receiving end of that. He's been a very valuable kid for you as well, not only on offense but on the defensive side of the ball. I think he even did some punting for you last week. Talk about him and how special that kid is.
Well, he did a great job. Last year he played corner for us and started all year and played some offense. He played some receiver, but we had some receivers that graduated, and he played some, but not all the time. This year he's going to be on the field most of the time on both sides of the football, as well as punting, as you said. Had a great game. Had two receptions for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's not a bad night.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Coach, y'all had a long rain delay last week, and then you come back out on the field, and it didn't take long for Kendall Jackson to, a couple of runs there to push your lead out to 13-0. Thought you kind of cruised from there. Jackson had a big year for you guys last year. But he looked to me like he's put on a little bit of size and some speed.
I'll tell you what, he is. He lives in the weight room. The guy is the strongest running back I've ever coached. I'm talking about strongest physically.
Right.
He can lift some weights, and he's gotten bigger. He's probably 20 pounds heavier than he was a year ago, and all of that's muscle. I think he's a little faster. He's a lot stronger. Very hard to tackle. If you saw the film, he carried, I don't know, 4, 5, or 6 of them in on that touchdown run he had, and he just wasn't going to be denied. He's a strong runner.
Right.
Mike Molder and Lee Teat, joined by Oak Ridge head coach Joe Gaddis. Coach, as impressive as that passing game was, and obviously Jackson, you guys up front, I thought was where everything made. It was. I was really impressed with you guys up front. Talk a minute about Hewitt and Hill and some of the other big fellas you guys have got on that line, and kind of compare them to past lines you've had there at Oak Ridge.
Well, through one game, and we've only played one game, but our offensive line. It's the best offensive line play we've had in years, perhaps in the, I guess, what is this, 8 now years I've been back. But offensive line played well. They can get better, but those guys played really well. And of course, that was a much bigger test and a tougher test this week. But last week against Hardin Valley, they did a heck of a job. And it was a far cry from the year before where we got whipped up front when we were on offense and didn't do much at all offensively. But we turned that around totally, primarily thanks to that offensive line.
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, we talked a bunch about your offense here, but you pitched a shutout on the other side of the ball. Defense held them out of the end zone, kept them scoreless. Talk about some kids that are going to stick out for you defensively last week, and then ones that you expect to stick out all year for you on defense.
Yeah, as good as we played on offense, we played better on defense when you shut somebody out. And what what y'all probably don't know is we had a fumble. We had a bad snap over the quarterback's head and gave him the ball literally on about the 10 or 11-yard line. So our defense held him out, from 11 yards basically. And then we fumbled the opening kickoff to the second half deep in our territory, and our defense held them out again. So they had a couple of great opportunities with short fields, and our defense just didn't let it happen. Cole Adams is a guy who is going to be he plays safety for us, but he played outside linebacker last year. He's a heck of a defender. Jackson Adams, they're not brothers, but Jackson Adams plays defensive end, and he's a force on the defensive line. He's started now for 3 years, and he's a bigger, stronger man than he was last year, and he's provided, both those kids have provided a lot of leadership for us all along during the course of the summer. But those two guys are huge to our defense.
Right.
Well, Coach, on to this week. The Wildcats got a very impressive Dobbins-Bennett team coming to town. How did the Indians look in film study, and did you see, what did you see as possibly the biggest challenge for you guys as you face a really good squad this year?
Well, they look better than I wanted them to, I can tell you that. But they've got a lot of guys back from last year's team that we lost some games last year, but they're the only team that actually lined up and just whipped us. They're a big, strong, physical team. They've got most of their guys back from last year. This will be a different matchup for us up front on both sides of the ball because they're very aggressive on defense, very strong, as I said, very big. And their offensive front's the same way. They're well coached, they're sound, they're solid, they have an excellent kicking game. and they're just going to be perhaps the most physical team we play all year.
Well, I was going to tell you, Lee and I will be discussing this game a little bit later in the show, but I went on and picked you guys in the Big Ones contest on Coach T, so don't let me down. No pressure or anything.
Well, hopefully you're one of those guys that you're right every time you pick, because I'll take it if you are.
Well, you don't want the answer to that.
Uh-oh, that worries me. Go back and pick them.
Well, Coach, you know, your Region 3, man, it's a beast again this year. We had a total of 4 teams in your region in our preseason top 10. We talked to Coach Lowe a little bit last week about how tough this region is. You know, who do you think is going to be for you and your Oak Ridge team there? Who's going to be the toughest matchup for you guys in region play?
Well, you know, I'm actually I put it on pause, but I'm watching Powell right now. They're on TV.
Right.
And you know, I haven't seen anybody, you know, no one scrimmage, so we don't know much about them, but we know what they have coming back.
Right.
And you know, a lot of coaches probably say this, but I'm the guy in this case that's telling the truth. Our region is the toughest region in the state. Period.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
There's no way anybody else has Oak Ridge, Powell, West, and Fulton, for example.
Mm-hmm.
With no disrespect to Campbell County, Carnes, and Clinton, but those top 4,
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe there's another region that has 4 teams like that. And as far as who's going to be our toughest matchup, I don't know. I mean, the only region matchup I'm thinking about right now is Campbell County next week.
But, I got you.
Yeah, right.
You know, but obviously West has a lot of guys coming back, and they've got 2 great running backs and a young running back coming up. So, you know, Powell, I've seen a little bit of them tonight, but before you called, and you know, I've got a great offense for sure, a great array of
Is
receivers.
Jordan Potts quarterbacking for them?
Yes.
Sophomore. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It looked good. Looked good in the opening drive
that's
for sure.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good deal. We're joined by Oak Ridge head coach Joe Gaddis here on the Friday event. Coach, you know, being an old Tullahoma guy, I guess you probably still keep up with a little bit. The big coffee pot game is tonight. They got they got Coffee County. Have you been able to keep up with them? Have you been to Tullahoma lately?
You know, I hadn't been to Tullahoma in years.
Really?
I mean, I can't tell you the last time I was there now. I've got a couple of friends that I talked to from Tullahoma. In fact, believe it or not, just yesterday, Jerry Mathis, which I don't talk to him a lot, but he called me, asking me about a good friend of mine, Dan Bland, who had coached. He was a head coach at Tullahoma when I first came there back in '76. But anyway, I talked to a couple of people there every now and then, but that's the first time I talked to Jerry in a while.
Okay, good deal. Well, we're hoping the Tullahoma Wildcats pull that now tonight. Coffee County looked pretty good last week, so it may wind up being a pretty good game tonight.
Well, I'm definitely for Tullahoma in that match for sure. I remember that game. Played it. I was there as an assistant 4 years and as a head coach for 5, and the coffee pot game was a big one.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, you get back to your power game. We didn't want to hold you up, man, but we really appreciate you jumping on, taking time to talk to us a little bit over here in Middle Tennessee.
Well, I appreciate you calling. Thanks a whole lot.
All right. Good luck to you tomorrow night, Coach.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See you, bud.
Bye-bye.
Joe Gaddis, Lee
I think
Teat.
he's got a lot to be excited about, buddy.
You don't get that quality of interviews anywhere else. You know, that's Friday main event.
I think he's got a lot to be excited about.
He does. He's got a heck of a ball team, man. I love talking to Joe. He's good.
Well,
dude.
anytime you got an old line like that, he said this might be the best he's had since he's been back. And he's been back 8 years. That's big, buddy.
That's big.
Big.
Lee, let me do a little something we don't normally do, but I'm just out of curiosity here. Why don't we check the Coach T scoreboard? Some of those.
Yeah, let's do it.
Some of those games over in East Tennessee Yep.
Yeah.
Powell's
Powell's
up 19-7. You and I both picked Powell, did we not?
I think so.
Well, we probably just jinxed the hell out of them right there. Walker Valley, Bradley Central, that game started as well. No score in the first quarter. So we kind of felt like Powell was going to show up tonight after a good game with a good battle with Beach last week.
That's right.
So good deal. All right, Lee, well, you want to take another quick break here, and we'll show a little bit more of that video from
The Huntland game.
Yeah, the Huntland game, and we'll go ahead and get one of our favorite coaches on, Shane Jacobs
Sure.
at Peabody. We'll go ahead and get him on the line, so we'll play that video for these guys, and we'll return here in just one.
McLemore on the carry. Collins' pass intended for Stitzer falls incomplete. Collins on the quarterback keeper. Gain of 5 on the play is good for an Eagleville first down. Collins on the quarterback keeper up the middle. Taken down.
All right, Lee, we are back here live on the Friday main event, and we got. Is this your favorite coach? I know he's right up there toward the top, is he not?
He is. He's one of my favorites.
We got Peabody head coach Shane Jacobs on with us. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, guys. Appreciate y'all having me on. How y'all tonight?
We're good, man. We are good.
Yeah, we're great, man. So you headed to a baseball game tonight, huh?
Got to take my oldest to a baseball game. My wife's at home with the younger two, so it's going to be a good evening to watch my oldest boy play baseball and just kind of relax and take it easy tonight.
It don't get any better than that, does it?
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's fun spending time with my boy.
Well, Coach, man, we hadn't had a chance to catch up with you since the title game. Talk a little bit about that reception you got when you showed back up in Trenton last December.
Oh man, Trenton is the coolest place in the world to coach football, and the people there just eat it up. They support that town like no other town, or support that team like no other town does, and the gym was packed and everybody was excited. And it was just they were shooting fireworks on the way in, and police escort, and whole 9 yards. Really cool what they do for those kids. After those games like that, it was a lot of fun.
Well, Coach, it's, like I say, it's great to get to talk to you again, man. You guys faced a really excellent opponent last week in Milan, and, just like you did up there in Cookville. And I talked about this in the halftime interview in Cookville. You made some dead-gum good adjustments there at halftime. You come out, you shut the Bulldogs out in the second, much like you did in Meigs County. Shut them out there in the second half. What in the world are you saying to these kids in the locker room at halftime that's swinging that momentum for you?
We just have a resilient group of guys, and I told them before the game. I said, I don't really know where to give the credit. Give the credit to their parents that's raised such good kids. Give the credit to the town that supports them, and not just financially, but I emailed the quarterback club last week and said, it's not just the financial support we get from you guys; it's the encouragement that these kids are getting into town, and so, we told them before the game, we really didn't know what Milan was going to do. And we said, if we can withstand the flurry of what was going to happen, we felt like the first 2 or 3 possessions, we were going to have to kind of figure out. I mean, we're walking out there on the field before the game and getting half our scout report. We don't know who's punting for them, what their long snapper look like, how deep are they going to be able to kick it. I mean, we just knew very little about them. And
right.
So, the guys showed a lot of composure, played a lot of kids that have never played before, and so they showed a lot of composure. And once we gave up that first score, and then of course had a pick six, the young quarterback settled down and kind of figured out kind of what they were wanting to do offensively and kind of what their ideal was defensively, and were able to just kind of coach it on the run, and the kids do a great job of just kind of taking coaching and doing what we asked them to do, and fortunately for us, it all worked out.
Well, you mentioned, Sam Driggers, he takes over for Cooper Boggins behind center this year. How would you evaluate his performance overall after he kind of settled into that groove?
Well, I was proud of Sam's composure, and of course, Sam's dad is our offensive line coach, and it makes a big deal when you've been around the game your whole life. And,
Right.
you know, Sam's been a water boy for us forever. He's been on the sideline. He's been in our locker room forever. So, you know, Sam never flinched. He kept his composure and, you know, stayed calm. And that's what you got to have out of a quarterback. You got to have a kind of a steady hand at quarterback, a guy that shows no pressure. And, you know, so Sam did a great job, threw some really great balls, had some good reads. And so I thought he played really well. Even the pick six, just one bad play. But really, other than that, you know, he was really excellent. But I was most proud of just kind of his composure throughout the game.
Right.
Well, Coach, you know, I think last year we saw some glimpses of Malik Ganaway and what he could do as a sophomore. But after 184 rushing yards and 152 receiving yards, I think Malik Ganaway might have put his name on the map against Milan this week.
Yeah, you know, Kalik and Malik are twins, and so Kalik is our tailback and carried the ball 37 times. And since I've been at Trenton, we've never had a kid carry it that many times.
Yeah.
But our other tailback, we're still kind of developing, and he's the guy that you'll see later on down the road. And then our other tailback, Draquan Vaughn,
Yes.
is starting on defense, and his conditioning wasn't where it needed to be going into the game. So, you know, we knew going into the game, Kalik was going to carry it a bunch of times. And I asked him on Thursday, I said, can you carry it 50 times tomorrow night? And he said, yes, sir. And he carried it 37. And then when we came into the field house after the game, I said, how you feel? And he put a little juke move on me and said, I can run it 20 more times. I just laughed. I said, that was a tough kid right there. So Kalik did a great job running it. And then his twin brother, Malik, had 152 yards receiving and did a great job. So very fortunate to have those two in the program.
Man, I've got to give me some new glasses. Lee Hayes sent me those stats of yours this week, and apparently I thought the same kid had the receiving and the rushing yards. That would have been a heck of okay, so it's twins. One of them was doing the rushing, the other was doing the receiving.
Yeah, fortunately, there's two of them, man.
Yeah,
Well, that's even better.
That's even better.
Yeah, that's even better.
Well,
Hey,
I feel kind of dumb now, man. I swear I thought the same kid had all of that. So yeah, I definitely need to get some new glasses, I think.
well, Coach Jacobs, you know, you mentioned Draquan Vaughn. We spoke with him up there in Cookville last year. You know, he said you thought maybe his conditioning weren't where it needed to be for night one, but good grief, Coach, he had 15 tackles and 2 sacks.
Yeah, Draquan's got asthma, and so
Okay, I got
okay.
you.
I got you.
Yeah, when you have those kids with asthma, and you first start trying to get them in shape, it takes those guys a little bit longer to get in shape, and so it's not anything that's Draquan's fault. It's just it'll be 3 or 4 weeks into the season, he kind of gets his legs under him, and then he'll start getting his carries, and then we got another tailback named Cameron Bonds, and he's a quick little, you know, we call him a little water bug. You know, he's a quick little kid in there, and so we've got 3 of them. We were only able to feature one against Milan just because the scrimmages and the jamboree, losing out on those, it was just really difficult to get as many guys ready to run the ball as what you would typically be able to do.
Mm-hmm. Mike Molder and Lee Teat speaking with Peabody head coach Shane Jacobs here on the Friday Main Event.
Well, Coach, you know, we focused a little bit on your offense here in the first half of this, but, man, other than one quarter, I think you dominated. You pitched a shutout for 3 quarters. Other than Vaughn, who we just mentioned, had 15 tackles, 4 for a loss, 2 sacks. Other than Vaughn, who impressed you on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, London Burkett's going to be a really good player for us all year long, and he's just a sophomore. And he's so physical. Now, he reads it up inside in terms of reading an offense. He reads it up inside as well as any linebacker I've coached in 14 years. He's a really, really special player. And then our 2 safeties, I really like our 2 safeties, Tristan Cook and Carson Vander, very intelligent kids. And so we're very big up front. Our 2D tackles and Braxton Johnson and Keandre Woolfork, and then our strong end, Jordan Shepard. We just have some really good kids, very coachable kids, and so you know we did feel like we could be good going in defensively, and then the offense would kind of hinge on how quickly we were able to develop Sam, which you know he played extremely well, like we mentioned. So. we think our defense can keep us in games with anybody, and then we just going to continue to get better offensively. Of course, I think Coach Taylor, our offense coordinator, does a great job, and he's done a great job with Sam and Coach Chachara developing our receivers. So, obviously, really proud that our defense settled down and played hard-nosed football the rest of the game.
Right.
Well, Coach, at Region 7, is expected to be tough again this year. I know Adamsville and McKenzie both had big wins to begin the season. I think Union City brings in Nick Markle to replace Coach Darren Bowling. Who do you expect probably will be your toughest matchup here in region play this year?
Well, I think on paper, the easy answer is McKenzie. They got a lot of kids coming back. Of course, they got the sophomore running back that played at receiver last week against Huntington, but he's already got an offer from Memphis and only a sophomore. And so on paper, with the returning starters that McKenzie has, I think on paper they would be the team that would stand out. But then Adamsville's got a lot of returners, and of course Union City always plays a great brand of football. And then you never know about Gibson County and Halls. Those guys, trying to find ways to stay competitive every year. So it's a fun region to be in. It's a tough region, but we like our chances. We got a really good group of guys, and I think the region's going to shape out where maybe there's not a lot of difference between 1 through 5. And that's kind of honestly how it's been. The last couple of years. We've won it, but we've had a lot of respect for even the team that's finished 4th and 5th.
Right.
They've gone down to Memphis and won some big games, and we've had to beat that number 3 seed out of our region in the second round in the last 2 years. So it's a good region, very challenging region.
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, you guys replaced the Sheffield game on your schedule this week with McNary Central. And they obviously are in the same region as your last week opponent, Milan. And they also have Covington in their region, so they're no stranger to competition. How do the Bobcats look to you?
Well, they have a sophomore quarterback that, he looks the part. He's going to be a good player. They got a little tailback in there that can go, and they're big up front. So, I think they're going to be a good challenge for us. I think that the weather we're going to play in tomorrow night, it was their home game, and we're one of the only teams still playing on Friday night. And I think that, that's kind of what they want. They want to, get it in the mud, and that's kind of, I would think they see that to their advantage. So I think they're a lot of fun,
Yeah, anytime you're the underdog, you like the muddy field, I think.
Well, my wife said, you're both playing in the rain, so, why does it matter? And I said, well, I don't feel like I can guard Allen Iverson, but if Allen Iverson both got out in the mud and played, I wouldn't be able to stay with him. I would be able to defend him a little bit better.
Yep.
When somebody's a little quicker, a little faster, that mud will kind of neutralize that a little bit.
That's right. Exactly.
Relegated to go straight ahead. So
I wouldn't have moved. Hey, I wouldn't have moved the game to Thursday either. So I'm just, I'm with McNary. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't blame them. We would have rather played tonight, but I didn't blame them. But the mud and the rain and everything, that'll be good for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's probably what we need.
Hey, Coach, I noticed on your schedule you've got 4A Jackson Southside. I think they've had to cancel their first 2 games. Have you heard if they're going to be able to play, the games? I think you guys have got them in week 4. Have you heard whether or not they're going to be able to continue with the schedule after that?
Yeah, Jackson-Madison County moved to Phase 2 last week. So
Okay.
Jackson-Madison County, as of right now, they're on pace to play week 3, and they've also made the decision that all of their games will be the decision of their games will be on a school-by-school basis, which is an advantage to them. And so now they're not locked into district decisions. They're being able to make the decisions at a school level, which is good for them. So
Right.
Northside or Liberty has some cases, Southside doesn't get canceled just because they fell into that district, which is kind of what you're seeing in Shelby County. A lot of those guys are really wanting to play ball, but it's the Shelby County Athletic Association that made the decision not to let them. But
Right.
if they did it school by school, more schools in Memphis will be playing football than not.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. Metro's going through a lot of stuff too. We're joined by Peabody head coach Shane Jacobs here on the Friday Main Event.
Well, Coach, we brag on you all the time, man, and I think you run a quality program, probably one of the best I've seen. But what comes along with that type of success, Coach Jacobs, is people coming to try to take some staff members away off your staff. You know, have you lost any guys off the staff from last year's team?
We haven't. This is the 5th year in a row we've had the exact same staff.
Wow.
And you know, we've had some guys offer jobs, and obviously, you know, we have several guys on our staff that used to be head coaches.
That's right.
But you know, everybody on our staff in the off season, we're all best friends. We run together, we hang out together, and you know, really, football's fun, and the game of football's fun. But it's really what makes football fun is the camaraderie. And so, with us being so tight, I don't see anybody leaving anytime soon. We just have too much fun hanging out and coaching together. So we've not lost anybody, and you know, knock on wood, I really don't think it'll happen just because of the friendship we all have together.
Well, like I said, I think that's a sign of a great program, man, because Coach Hunt up there at Maryville, Greenville, their staff stay together. Coach Rankin, all those guys, they have this core group. But, man, you know, it's got to be hard to – people are constantly, I guess, calling to try to get them. We just was wondering if you'd lost any of them. So that's a good thing you haven't.
Yep, that is. Well, Coach,
yeah, obviously very fortunate to hang on to all those guys. A quality group, no doubt.
Yep.
Well, brother, you go enjoy your son's baseball game. Lee and I, man, we always love talking to you, brother, and wish you all the luck in the world. And hopefully at some point in time we're going to get up there. I hate that I missed you this spring when I went by your field, but I'm gonna try to get up there and see you sometime, man.
Yeah, y'all come on anytime. Holler at me next time you're in town. I'll take y'all out to a restaurant there in Trenton, teach y'all to or treat y'all to some of that cooking some of those ladies do. They do it right in Trenton. So y'all holler at me next time.
You just said the magic word. I'm in for some food. Thank you, Coach.
I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all and what y'all do for the sport. I always appreciate the opportunity to be on with y'all.
All right,
thank
man.
you, Coach. Good luck to you tomorrow night, buddy.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
See you, buddy.
All right, see y'all.
All right, Lee. I like Coach Jacobs.
Dude's
He's a good dude.
man.
He's a good dude. He's definitely among our favorites. I mean, we got a lot of coaches we love talking to. But
hey, listen, let me ask you a question real quick. We got the Coach Hunts of the world. We got the Gary Rankins of the world. We got CPA's coach over there that we think
Eagle Martin
is we got to start putting Coach Peabody in this mix.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
Coach Jacobs from Peabody.
Oh, yeah.
Man, look at he is rolling.
He's rolling. Back-to-back state titles.
How many has he won since he's been there? Like 4 times? Coaching 8 years there now?
Yeah, well, I think the last one they won, they had a different head coach, I believe. I think he's only won 2, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I think that's right. But yeah, he's done a heck of a job.
For these young coaches, you got to start putting him in the mix of. He may end up being.
Yeah. Yep. He's climbing the ladder, no doubt.
Pretty doggone quick, dude.
Well, Lee, we need to get off of here and get another break because we are a minute late calling Coach Crabtree. And I don't like to keep him state championship winning coaches waiting too long.
No, we can't.
So
you can blame it on me. I'm dragging.
All right, so we'll give you some more scrimmage video, and we'll be back right after this.
Come on, Donnie.
Stewart taken down at the 40. Stewart on the carry. Stop made by Russell. It's a flag on the play. Johnson on the carry.
are back. Enjoyed that interview with Coach Shane Jacobs and obviously Coach Joe Gaddis there to start the show off. And we're going to continue on. We've went down to 2A. We've already had one good 5A coach on. We got one just as good on with us right now.
Correct.
We got Beachhead Coach Anthony Crabtree on with us. Coach, we appreciate you joining us, buddy.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Coach, you know, you guys, I think you had Jackson Northside scheduled as your week 1 opponent, and you wasn't able to play, but you know, you lost a home game, and instead you reached out to Matt Lowe and you scheduled that power game. That's great, man. I mean, I think that's good statewide to see that, because you know, Lee and I, we had both of you guys really high, so I was really happy, you know, to see that game come about. What was your thoughts on, you know, of course you lost that game, but it was a real tight game. You had to go all the way over to the east side of the state. What was your thoughts on the game, and were you pretty happy with how your team played last week?
Well, we didn't play very well early. You know, we gave up a couple of easy scores and kind of started off 14-0 before we ever touched the football.
Right.
You know, we're playing some young guys, and it took us a little while to kind of adapt a little bit and kind of get in a groove, but I thought our guys kept fighting and tried to overcome, you know, the adversity of being down 14 points.
Right.
And they did a good job, and we got better as the game went on. You know, Powell's a good football team. They have some good athletes, and it's a great challenge for us, being young in our secondary and inexperienced. And, you know, I think we got better as the night went on. So that's always a good test when you play good teams and you see your kids respond like ours did that night.
Right.
Well, Coach, you know, Xavier Jones got his first start behind the center. And, you know, hey, first start, he had a couple fumbles, a couple picks. But the greatest asset of a player is that following a bad outing is a short memory.
That's right.
You know, how's he responded in practice this week?
Oh, he's been fine. Well, you know, he started last year. He was our starter last year for 12 games.
Oh,
Okay.
So, yeah, he's a senior. He's back from last year. You know, we had some turnovers that were a little bit uncharacteristic of us as far as fumbling the ball. That was probably the most disappointing thing of the night.
Right.
You know, we moved the ball some offensively, but when you throw it to them and drop it on the ground for them, that don't help you win. So those are things that we have to take care of on our end. And he's worked hard this week, you know, trying to get better, trying not to make the same mistakes. And we'll get another opportunity Friday night against another good football team and try to go out and see if we can show some improvement.
Well, you know, Tayshawn Jefferson, he was a guy we kind of looked at, and then we talked to you about him in the postseason last year, and, you know, you even told us that you wish he had gotten more carries, but, you know, he started out this year 155 yards, a TD. You know, he didn't disappoint last week. Then Adrian Johnson also had 103 yards, 2 TDs. I would say you got to be pretty happy with the production you had out of the run game on Friday.
Yeah, you know, like I said, we moved the ball down the field. We just made some crucial mistakes by dropping it on the ground and then, you know, throwing it to them. So you're not going to beat good football teams when you do that. But, you know, our running backs ran the ball really hard. Thought they did some good things. Thought we blocked fairly well most of the night. You know, we just got to do a better job of taking care of the football.
Right. Well, Coach, you know, one of the guys that impressed us on the defensive side of the ball was this sophomore, Brocco Hanks, man. 13 tackles. You know, were you expecting that kind of production out of him as a sophomore?
Well, you know, last year he wound up, I guess he started after week 2 or week 3. He started the rest of the season at inside linebacker. So he got a lot of great game experience, and he kept getting better as the year went on. And, you know, this year he's kind of our leader in our front 7, getting everybody lined up, making calls. So we knew that, you know, he was a good player and thought he would do good things, but I don't think we were expecting him to make that many tackles first game of the season.
You got to be excited to have him back for 2 more years after that if he's just a sophomore and already kind of getting you sets and getting everybody aligned. You got to be tickled to death with that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's a good player. You know, he's still growing physically and mentally. You know, every Friday night for him is an opportunity to get a little more mentally mature and he's handling it really well. So we're very pleased with his play right now.
Mike Molder and Lee Teat speaking with Beach head coach Anthony Crabtree here on the Friday event. Coach, you talk about you had the high expectations for Bronco entering the season, but it seems like there's always that one kid on the team, he doesn't really show much in practice. When those Friday night lights come on, he finds another gear. Who would you say fits that description for this team?
Man, off the top of my head, I don't really know. Bronco in practice, I mean, he, gets everybody lined up, makes some plays, but he probably was the guy who really, really busted out when the lights came on the other night. I don't know that we have another guy that really happened to last week. Hopefully this week we, maybe we'll find one.
So you're waiting on that guy, huh?
That's right.
Well, Coach, things don't get any easier this week, man. Going, heading over to Henry County. I think y'all are going to play the game at Milan. The second week in a row, man, you're going to be facing a talented sophomore quarterback. Henry County's little quarterback over there, Ryan Dameron, is a pretty good little ball player. What'd you see on film about the Patriots that you think may give you some trouble?
And that game got moved to Saturday, didn't it, Coach?
Yes, we're going to play Saturday at 2 o'clock.
Right, that's right.
Well, Henry County is, I like to kind of classify us in the same boat a little bit.
Yes.
We try to make our living being physical, trying to be more disciplined than the other team. Both of us like to run the football. Their quarterback can make plays. He can make plays with his arms or his feet.
Correct.
So, that's a huge weapon for them. The difference in last week, the team that we faced versus Henry County is Henry County will give us more tight end with a fullback and run at us a little bit more than what Powell did. Powell's a spread team, and they still ran the ball some, but not nearly what we're going to see Friday night out of Henry County.
Jamarcus Johnson, I think that's the kid that had a big game for him last week, wasn't it?
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, good deal. Coach, I expect Gallatin's probably going to be tough again this year, but fortunately, the bulk of their region, including Hillsboro, is in jeopardy of losing their season. What have you guys heard anything? And I know Hillsboro, they had that big, I'm sure you probably saw it, that big coaches press conference there, and Hillsboro's head coach was part of that. Have you guys heard anything about what's going to happen as far as Hillsboro goes?
No, the only thing we're really hearing out of Metro is, we know they're not playing till after Labor Day, and kind of the understanding is we're not sure they're going to play at all.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. So
we're having to pretty much go ahead and try to find people to replace them. So for us at Beach, that's half of our schedule now gone since we lost Jackson Northside and then 4 Metro teams. So we're having to try to find 5 new teams to play. That's going to be a little bit of a struggle, I think, for us. But, things are going to change from week to week. There's going to be people who think they're playing. They're going to get to Tuesday or Wednesday, and then they're not going to get to play. So somebody's going to be looking for a game. So we may be like Cannon County and pick a game up on Thursday for Friday night. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. Well, Coach, one of the keys to successful teams, and we consider the Beach to be a successful team over the last long time, really.
Yeah, 15, 20 years.
Obviously you call the plays on offense, and Coach Alexander serves you as your defensive coordinator. Who are some of the other members on that staff, and how long have they been with you?
Oh, gosh. Mike Beaver is our offensive line coach. I think this is his 10th year. Mark Curry, who is our running back coach, he started his first year was 2012. And then most of our other guys have been around 3 or 4 years.
Right.
I think we got couple younger guys on our staff. But between Bill Alexander and Mark Curry and Mike Beaver, that's a bulk of coaching experience right there.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
And they're tremendous coaches and a huge help to me. Coach Beaver and Coach Curry on the offensive side of the ball. Anthony Coffey is our receivers coach. He's a younger guy. He's been coaching 6, 7, or 8 years, somewhere in there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we have Seth McFerrin, who's our DB coach. He's a young guy. tremendous young coach, takes care of our weight program. Christopher Carroll was on our 2012 state championship team. He coaches our outside linebackers. Jeff Abner's our defensive line coach. He's been around several places, coached in Metro for several years, coached at Hendersonville for a couple years, helped out at Mount Juliet a little bit for a year or two. So we Chase Brooks, he's our quarterback coach. Anybody that knows Chase he's been around the world coaching, I think, but hopefully we've got him settled in and can keep him this time.
That's what the reason why Lee asked that. We always kind of like Coach Hunt up at Maryville and obviously Greenville's coaching staff and we've had this discussion with numerous coaches. But you guys that have a sustained, productive, consistently good program, that seems to be the common denominator. You got staffs, you got staffs that have been together for a long time. Let me ask you something, Coach. I know, in addition to Powell and Henry County as non-region games, you've also got Hendersonville and Lebanon. I think that tough schedule is really going to help you guys come postseason. Are you going to plan to try to, keep some of these non-region opponents when we do the rescheduling next year?
Yeah, there's a good chance we're going to move up to 6A, so our region's going to change, our schedule's going to change. Yeah, I mean, we're going to try to keep, Lebanon if we're not in the same region. I'm assuming we probably will be. Maybe keep Laverne on our schedule. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out in November.
Right. Well, Coach, we appreciate your time, brother. Always great to talk to you, man. You're one of the best in the business, and we really enjoy having you here on the Friday main event. And wish you a lot of luck tomorrow night, man. You guys have a safe trip over there.
Yes, sir. We're going to need it.
Saturday, I'm sorry.
All right. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks,
yes,
Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
We'll see you, buddy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Lee, the hits keep coming. That's 3 coaches that's won state championships on the Friday main event tonight.
Yeah.
How many other shows got that tonight?
I bet none.
I toot my horn a little bit. You notice that?
Yeah. Hey, man, listen, Coach Crabtree's solid, dude.
Yeah, he is.
That program's solid.
And
he ain't ducking. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
He ain't ducking anybody.
And I'm glad you asked the question about the coaches, man, because
it is a common denominator.
It is
that
common
core
denominator.
Group of DCs, OCs, and your core little group of guys around you. Coach Jacobs just talked about it.
Right.
And that makes a huge difference.
Lee, we got about 15 minutes left here, and we got a lot of games we didn't
Let's
talk
roll
about.
through
You want to hit them real quick?
Let's hit them.
Let me see if I can remember where we were
Right
at.
there.
Is that where we was at?
That's
We
right
did Covington, didn't we?
Yes.
So we got Fulton, we got Knox Central. Knox Central beat Cleveland 26-16 last week. And heck, this is games. Yeah. No, we're okay. We got past. Hey, these games are tomorrow night. We did it, brother. We got all the games for tonight in before the break.
All right.
So you don't get to cheat. Fulton and Knox Central tonight, tomorrow night. Coach Black's team 28-18 lost to South Doyle, and of course Central with the win over our buddy Marty Wheeler's Cleveland bunch. Who do you think wins this one?
Central at home.
Central is at home. Do you like Central?
Yes, sir.
You ain't even gonna think about it.
No.
You just throwing it out there.
Yep.
13-12. Central won this game last year, the same year they won the state title.
Central gets it done.
I
I
ain't
just
gonna
don't
talk you out of it.
No, I don't see any let up, man. I thought Cleveland would get them last week, and they went right down there and come out there with a 10-point victory. Whew. And they're just good defensively, man. They're so good on defense.
And Craney was a defensive coordinator the last 4 years. Now he's the head coach, so I'm sure defense is still a priority for those guys.
Going Bobcats.
Central, I'll take them. Waverly Central and Huntington, Lee Teat. Huntington lost to as we talked to Coach Jacobs, a very good McKenzie team, 31-22 last week. And then, of course, Waverly whooped Camden pretty good, 40-3. Randall Bolden in his second year there at Waverly. Huntington won this game 46-6 last year, but this was a whole different Huntington squad.
Correct. That's correct. It's at Huntington, which we know that's tough.
It is tough. I love that field, and plus, I'm pretty sure they got turf there, so the weather may not be as much of a factor there as what it would be somewhere else.
Right, and if it's raining, I think odds on if it is raining, that kind of favors Huntington.
I do too.
With the way they run, but
the
I
ball.
think they're just too young, Mike. I like Waverly Central. I think Coach Bowden wants to get a little bit of revenge. I think it's a real close ball game. I think it's going to be real close.
Yeah.
But I like Waverly.
Like Waverly.
I do.
Well, I tell you what, Lee.
Split with him.
I think I'm gonna split on this one. I was gonna go Waverly coming in, but I wasn't real firm either way. Kind of talked myself into it, talking about the home field in the rain.
Yeah, this might be another situation what McNary's trying to, how they were talking about Peabody.
Yeah.
You know, that rain may be an equalizer because that's the type of offense they run.
That's
so.
right. Yeah, I can see that. I'm sure Eric Swinson took that into account.
Yeah. He don't miss much.
He don't miss much. Eagleville at Cornersville. Eagleville, I was at that game last week, Lee, against Huntland, 36-27. Probably a little bit closer than what that score indicates. Two pretty evenly matched teams. My concern is Wyatt McLemore got injured in that game. My understanding is, I talked to Corey about it, he's supposed to play, but he did get banged up a little bit last week. And I'm sure that had a lot to do with the outcome of that game because he is an unbelievable football player. Had a kickoff return for a touchdown last week when I was watching. He's a stud. He is a stud. But Cornersville's Gerard Randolph, 36-6 over Community. 7 starters back on offense, 6 on defense. Tough place to play. Coach Walker even talked about that when we interviewed him, if you'll remember, Lee, last week. 62% of our fan base thinks Cornersville wins this game.
I'm going to go with the fan base. I'm going to stay with Cornersville at home.
I'm going to stay with them, too, and it's because they're at home. If this was on a neutral field, I might lean toward the Eagles, but that is a strong home field advantage.
Yeah, if they got them at home, and McLemore might be a little nicked up.
Yep,
step slower.
I'm thinking the same thing.
All right.
Daniel Boone at Greenville. Lee, Greenville didn't play last week. Of course, they were supposed to play Central, did not play. My understanding is they're supposed to play this week. Host Daniel Boone. A lot of talent on that Greenville team. This will be Coach Bradlin's first game at the helm. He was the defense coordinator the last 7 years. Boone had a big year last year. Finished strong, 5-1 in the region, won the region. So, what's your thoughts here?
Greenville at home. I think Coach Spradlin's going to open up with a win at home. He understands what Green Devil football is.
Yeah, no doubt.
And how important it is to get off to a good start. And I think he's got it in the right spot. He's at home. I think he's going to get it done, get his first win under his belt.
88% of the Friday Main Event Tennessee sports followers on Twitter agree with you, Lee Teat, and Mike Molder agrees with you, Lee Teat. I'll take the Green Devils also. David Crockett at Science Hill, the Pioneers. 61% of our fan base, Lee Teat, like Science Hill to win this game. Stacy Carter, very good coach, got beat by Elizabethton 30-8 last week, and then Crockett lost a real close game to Ooltewah 14-12. So two teams 0-1. Which one gets off the loser bracket here? Any thoughts on this one?
Well, last year, 62-34 Crockett?
Yeah. Remember, Crockett started out red hot last year, remember? And then they just, snowballed there at the end.
Yeah, I think Prince Colley had a big game last week as well against Ooltewah.
Yeah, he did. I think he had 171 yards.
Ooh-wee, buddy. I'm going to go David Crockett.
You going Crockett. I think I'm going to go Crockett also, Lee Teat. I'm not going to let you get upper hand on me right there. That's a close game, 14-12.
Yeah. Against a good Ooltewah squad.
Against a good Ooltewah squad. And then next, Lee, the Alcoa Tornadoes, 96% of our fan base think they'll beat Austin East.
I'm going to agree with them.
I'm going to agree with them, too. Alcoa won this game 42-0 in the regular season and then 56-28 in the playoffs last year.
Yes, sir.
Alcoa up and down, just unbelievable amount of talent. Lee, I've got to get a drink. It's been a while since we had a break.
Austin East, Mike, new coach. They're new coach. Took one on the chin last week against Webb. Man, I mean, what are you going to do?
I don't think anybody's going to beat Alcoa this year, and I'm throwing Maryville in that mix. That's an early spoiler there.
Yeah.
I think Alcoa goes undefeated this year.
Well, Alcoa's got a different quarterback, too, we ain't heard of. I talked to Silas. I forget his name.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the real deal, so.
Yeah, 'cause Sam Bolton transferred to California.
I don't think it's Lunsford getting the start. I think they got somebody transferred in.
Okay.
And
I'll have to check in there. I'm
yeah.
not sure, Lee.
Silas was telling me about it.
He knows what's going on.
Oh, he well Twitter, buddy. You know, them young kids, man, they're on top of it.
Gordonsville at Smith County. This should be a really good game right here, Lee Teat.
Game got moved out to Saturday.
Oh, yeah, that's another one. You're right. You
Sure
told me
did.
that.
Game got moved to Saturday.
49-20 Smith County last year.
Yeah, I tell you what, Mike, I'm gonna go Gordonsville on the road. Down in the pit over.
Well, Albritton will have to have a lot better game if they're going to win, Lee. He had 110 yards passing, but he threw 3 picks last week against Watertown, and they only lost by 7 points. So
I know.
He's got to play a lot better than that if they hope to win. I think Tyler Gregory had a big game for Gordonsville, scoring a rushing TD, and he also accounted for 11 tackles on defense, so he's got to have a big game.
Yeah, at this point, I think Gordonsville might be a little further along.
I think so too, and with 17 kids returning off of that team last year.
That's right. That's exactly why I said that.
They're deep. 51% of our fan base like the Tigers, so pretty much a coin flip among the Twitter followers for Tennessee sports.
Yep.
I'm going to go with you. I'm going to take the road team, Gordonsville Tigers. But I think it's going to be a good game. West Carroll Lee takes on McKenzie. West Carroll lost to Fayette Academy 14-8 last week. Of course, McKenzie knocked off Huntington 31-22. Anytime the two-time defending state champion coach for Peabody says McKenzie's a team to watch out for, I'm going to take it at his word, and I'm going to take Wade Comer's Rebels to win this one.
I got you. I'm going with the Rebels as well.
85% of our fan base like the Rebels. Dobbins Bennett, Oak Ridge, tough game here.
Yes.
And I already told you what I'm going. I told Joe Gaddis. I don't know why. I guess I was thinking he's at Penn State. So I'm taking Joe Gaddis and the Wildcats. 69% of our fan base likes Oak Ridge, Lee. I'm a little shocked by that because I think Dobbins Bennett is probably the statewide favorite based on what I've heard. They had a 35-0 shutout over Tennessee last week. And Oak Ridge also hasn't given up any points. They beat Hardin. I think that's Hardin Valley. I got Hardin County. I think it's Hardin Valley. They beat 40-0 last week.
That's right. DB's. Boy. That running back went ballistic off of DB last week, didn't he?
He did.
Tenzier.
Yep.
Tesnier. I said Tenzier. Tesnier. Man, 203 yards and scored twice. Buddy, I'm going to go Oak Ridge.
Split it?
No, I'm going to go Oak Ridge, but I think it's going to be down to the wire ball game. Maybe whoever has the ball last.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that Coach Gaddis likes his offensive line.
Yeah, I do too.
And if you got a strong offensive line and you got Givens back there who's been running that quarterback show for a while now, and he says he thinks he's even better this year. He likes his tailbacks even stronger this year. I'm going to go Oak Ridge at home, but I still think it's a very close game.
Ooh, excuse me, Lee. Sorry about
Getting tired there, buddy?
I hadn't had much sleep the last few nights.
Me either, buddy.
Excuse me. I know that was rude. Yeah, I agree with you. He said that's the best offensive line he's had in his return to Oak Ridge over the last 8 years. And with Mitchell Givens leading them, and, of course, Preston Turner, big play threat, 91-yard TD reception last week. I like the Wildcats. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a good game. Meigs County, Greenback Lee. Meigs won this one 27-20 last year. Two of our favorite coaches, Fitzgerald and Ryan. We got to hang out with both of those guys in Cookeville last year. Two teams that were on the losing end of title games last year, but close games. And you would think typically two teams that win the state title are rebuilding at the 1A, 2A level, but they got pretty solid squads this year, I think. Of course, Greenback lost to Loudon 41-0, but this Loudon team is no joke.
No, they were great last year.
Yeah, they were great last year. They're really good this year.
Mike, I'm gonna go Megs.
I'm going Megs also, Lee. I like that 27-7 win over Sweetwater. They got big Malachi Hayden leading the way up on the offensive line. They got some pretty good running backs behind him. I think they got enough.
But I think Greg Ryan's doing this for a reason. Playing up. So when he gets into his 1A schedule, look out.
Look out, Cofield, huh?
Look out.
Yeah, I agree, Lee. But I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a runaway by any means.
No,
I think it's going to be very close.
Yeah.
It's at Greenback. Should be a good ball game. If you're up in that area, that'd be a good one to watch,
Sure
no
would.
doubt.
Two real good characters on the sideline,
It is. Yeah, they're two fun interviews, man. We'll have to get those guys on here pretty soon. Beach at Henry County, Lee Teat. This was our number one game, I believe. Yeah, This was our number one game tonight, or tomorrow night, or actually Saturday. I'll get it right here in a minute.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know. Whenever, hell, it might be Sunday for all I know. Hell, we couldn't even get the show started on time. So Beach at Henry County, Anthony Crabtree, and Lee. I picked Henry County in my big ones, but I'm having second thoughts now. What's your thoughts on this game?
I'm going Henry County.
You like James Counts' Henry County Patriots?
I think Coach Crabtree definitely is going to get the turnover situation cleaned up. I don't think you're going to see them put the ball on the ground. I just think that Henry County might be maybe 1-2 athletes ahead. I think they may have 1 or 2 more playmakers.
Well, what I like about this Henry County squad is the fact that they got Jamarcus Johnson that was able to run the ball for over 100 yards and 2 TDs. But if Beach is able to slow him down, you've got Dameron with the ability to throw the ball.
That's correct,
and
he has got some weapons. He's got some weapons out there to catch the ball too. So
yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, Juwan Odoms, he's a 29 rated recruit in the state. Man,
it's a tough game to pick.
It's a tough game to pick.
It's gonna be close.
It's gonna be close.
It's gonna be a real close game.
I went back and forth about 3 times on this one.
I think the turf favors Henry County if they're playing at Milan.
Maybe.
I
yeah,
think
they
the
are
turf,
playing at Milan.
I think the turf favors Henry County. I really do.
60% of our fan base likes Henry County, Lee. It's not a true home game, though. That's one thing that kind of, if it was at Henry County, actually when I decided to kind of waver on my pick was when I heard they was moving it to Milan. Because I know them Henry County folks are not going to be happy about losing that home game.
No, they're not.
I've seen it on Coach T. They're not happy about it.
They're not. But
I'm going to flip on you, buddy. I'm going to go Beach.
Really?
I'm going to flip. I had Henry County, but I'm going to change it
Hey,
up.
listen, that's why it's our number one.
Sorry, TJ.
No, listen, that's why it's our number one game.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's hard to pick.
It's hard to pick. I'm gonna stay with Henry County because I think they may have maybe one.
I wouldn't be surprised either way on this.
1-2 more athletes. That's all.
We got about 3 or 4 games here, Lee. Let's just pick them. Let's not talk about them a lot. Sequatchie County at Marion County.
Marion.
You like Marion? I like Marion. Page at Siegel. Who you like in that one? That's a tough one.
I'm gonna go Siegel.
You're gonna go Siegel. I'm gonna go Siegel also. Siegel needs to get off the snide. They haven't had a good team in a while. I like Adam Renshaw, so I'm gonna say he gets his first win as a head coach. East Hamilton, Saudi Daisy. I'm going with my boy, my man, Grant Reynolds.
Yes, sir, East Hamilton.
I like Grant Reynolds in the win on the road in this one.
Yes, sir.
And Nolensville, Watertown.
This is going to be a good game,
That's going to be a good game.
Darn good game. It's a 4A versus a 2A. Last year,
but it's a darn good 2A team.
32-14. I'm going to go Nolensville, Mike. I am.
I am too, and
But
I'm going because of Ryder Gallardi. I don't know what your thinking is.
I would not be surprised in the least if Watertown wins this game.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, Nolensville got took one on the chin pretty hard, 47-12 last week against Brentwood, and I could definitely see the Purple Tigers winning this game at home. But you know, we had Nolensville picked really high in 4A, and I'm gonna look kind of dumb if I pick a 2A team.
I like Gallardi.
I do too. And it's two really good coaches, David Webster and Paul Derrick. So no advantage, I don't think, coaching.
No, I think it's a 50-50 game.
Yeah, I do too. And 80% of our fan base likes Watertown.
Really?
How about that?
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Rockville, Franklin County, Lee, who picks up the first win right here? Franklin County lost to Lincoln County. Rockville lost to Laverne. Rick Rice still looking for his first win at the 6A Rockville Rockets.
Going Rockville.
53% of the fan base
Franklin
likes.
County burnt me last week.
So you ain't going to have nothing to do with them, huh?
No.
I'm going to take the Rebels to win at home.
I'm going
Rebels
Rockville.
at home with the home guy and Doug Garrett in the stands. They can't lose. Doug Garrett's going to get them over the hump. Hardin Valley at Cleveland, Lee Teat.
Cleveland.
Our good buddy Marty Wheeler. I believe I'm going to agree with 85.3% of the Friday Main Event fan base. Marty Wheeler gets the job done right
Cleveland.
here. I like Cleveland to win this game, and I think they get on the roll and
start knocking some people off.
Knocking some people off. That's what I'm thinking.
I think so too.
All right, Mr. Teat, that is.
This
Friday
has been
event.
eventful.
It's been eventful, man. I apologize to you folks. Hopefully I will eventually get all this figured out. I've still got to go back. I'm gonna have to do some practice runs next week because I don't know what I'm doing. I've just goofed. I've goofed up 2 in a row, and we probably would have had good viewership tonight if I'd had a valid stream link posted on all the tons of social media I post on. I got it wrong on all of them. So if you watched the show and lasted through it, man, we appreciate you guys. And again, apologies. I've changed software, and I've changed and YouTube has changed their layout for streaming. And I'm not the smartest guy at 53 years old, so I'm trying to catch up with technology. So you guys forgive us, man. We'll try to get it right next week, but we appreciate CoachT.com as always, Lee. I renewed my Coach T Plus membership this week so I could get all the advertisements off of my feed. And if you love Coach T and you don't want all them pop-up ads, put you a donation anywhere from $1 up to whatever you want to donate to, and you'll be a Plus member just like me. And you know, that's something you need to definitely do. There's a link, all the message boards, he's got a link right up at the top, and it says donate to become Plus member. And again, it's the donation is whatever you determine it to be. It can be very small to very large. Whatever the website is worth to you, that's what you need to donate. That's how I handled it.
Yep.
Elaborate Images, appreciate them hooking us up again with all of our hats and T-shirts, and there's a link on the FridayMainEvent.com to their website. We appreciate Marshall Howard. Lee, anything else? Any closing notes?
No, just Metro, get it together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cooper, you're on notice, buddy. You're on notice by a lot of people right now, man. You need to get off of this and let the kids play. Let them play. They want to play ball. We wanted to play ball. There's not the risk that, you know, we're not entering a nursing home, dude. We don't have to have the numbers to enter a nursing home. We're talking about football. Let's play ball. All right, for Lee Teat, I'm Mike Molder. This has been the Friday Main Event. We appreciate you guys each and every Friday, and we'll see you again next Thursday at 6 p.m. Right, Lee?
Yes, sir.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.